thank you all for joining us here today at Ephesus Elementary in Chapel Hill, Carborough Schools. Had a great sit down with some of the administration here, talking about the importance of not just when they brought in the one-to-one to be shiny special devices that could just be something that goes in the classroom and just has apps that kids play with, but really making it an integral part of the classroom to enhance the teaching environment. And that's really the way they look at it here. How did they bring in the one-to-one plus the using it as really a teaching enhancement for teachers? That meant being very strategic, and that also meant a lot of professional development. It also means continued support from the staff here to make the technology really work seamless. I really was most taken aback and impressed with how it empowered students and how the technology really made them engage in what they were doing. So a teacher could stop and help a student who might need a little extra help, but at the same time, all the other students could be moving along with the assignment, all of them engaged. No students sitting back bored, no simple worksheets for even the foreign language class. And everyone in the foreign language class was working on a project where the students would actually dictate into their computer and practice their foreign language ability. The assessment would be the teacher later coming and watching that video. So really great things going on here. I'm excited to take it back to Raleigh, really focusing on not just what technology we get in the classroom, but how we make that technology a tool for teachers, something that empowers and engages students, but also makes the teaching profession more enjoyable for teachers. So thank you all for being here with me.
You got to talk with some of the students. What was their intake on using it on a day-to-day basis?
Oh, they really enjoyed it. And one thing I also wanted to question was, how much are you still using paper and pencils? And they all said, absolutely. We are still all practicing with paper and pencils. That was in the when they were doing the English lesson. There was also when they were doing the math lesson. But they just the level of engagement was so impressive. And having students take ownership of their own learning, that's more than half the battle for a teacher. Because once you have a kid hooked, and once they're engaged in what they're doing, then they can take it from there. And that was really exciting to see.
Hey Mark, House Committee yesterday passed forward a bill that would change the makeup of K through F grades from 80-20 to 50-50. I'm wondering what you think about that and about the current makeup of the grades.
I probably won't push for any changes in the current makeup of the grades. I think what will be really important is how we promote what those grades mean. What does it mean when you have an F school? That doesn't mean that teachers aren't working hard in that school. That doesn't mean that there's not a lot of hard work going on there. It doesn't mean that people don't care about what's going on in that school. That usually is a reflection of the circumstances where children are coming from going into that school, and that's what the conversation needs to be about. Yes, I'd like to see more growth in the model, but we also have to have the realistic expectation that by the time they get to high school, we also need to be talking a lot about proficiency, because we need to make sure the diplomas we're handing out are actually representative, that students are ready to go out and be successful, whether it be in college or whether it be through any kind of vocational training or community college. And that comes down to proficiency. But what I will be working on, and I've already reached out to some of the key stakeholders, is how do we present that information? How do we improve how we give that to parents and tell them what the whole story is behind that school grade?
There's also a bill in that committee, it's still being discussed, that would eliminate most of the NC final exams. I know that you are a proponent of not having over-testing. So
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts on that bill?
Well, as long as we've had school, we've had testing, and we will continue to have testing. But something that I've seen here in action with technology is how we change it from high-stakes assessing to low-stakes assessing. How do we build it into the classroom so that the teachers still get the data they need for those formative assessments to know where their students are and where they need to bring those students, while at the same time just making it a fun lesson that students, they don't even know that it's part of the data being collected to let us know where they are. And that's why I'm here, and it's very exciting to watch that and have the opportunity to be at the forefront here at Ephesus Elementary, which could be a model for what we can roll out into other schools across the state.
Governor Cooper is talking about raising teacher pay over the next few years. What do you think of this plan? And do you think it's a good plan in retaining teachers to North Carolina?
Well, absolutely. We need to work on ways to recruit, retain, and reward teachers. And I think the governor and the General Assembly have both agreed that part of that is going to be about teacher pay. But, it's my job to look into the details. What is it just beyond pay that can really help improve the teaching profession? And that's why I'm here at places like Ephesus and seeing how is technology helping the teacher in the classroom? How does the technology make it so that the teacher doesn't have to bring a stack of papers home every night and grade the stack of papers? How is it that the technology, which I've seen here, can help the teacher engage more with the parent and get more parental involvement? How is it that the technology can be presented so that the teacher has lesson plans all ready to choose from, ready to go, really support that first-year teacher? So there's a lot to the conversation I look forward to having.
I wanted to get an update on HB 17 and where that stands from your perspective. Have you joined that lawsuit? Do you plan to? What is that? What's happening with that?
Yeah, the state board actually filed an amended complaint on Friday, naming the Office of the State Superintendent as one of the parties that it is suing. Under the temporary restraining order, the State Board of Education is still the administrative head of the Department of Public Instruction. I am working with the State Board as they go through and decide who they want to hire to fill key roles. I'm working with them, giving them suggestions on how we can revise the organization chart to make the department run more smoothly. But as long as we are under this temporary restraining order, the administrative head of the department is the State Board of Education, and I have been working with them, but unfortunately things like a chief of staff, that role is still unfilled, and they have made it clear that they are not going to let me choose who my chief of staff will be. That will be a decision that they will make.
I know Representative Horn has been trying to work out some kind of compromise. Where does that stand?
I have presented the idea of mediating this situation with the chairman. Chairman Kobe said that if I want to appoint the student advisor to the board, they're fine with that. Now that's one of the governor's appointments, so they're fine giving that away. But he has made it clear that the state board will not budge on them having the authority to appoint the top leadership at the department. Great.
Thank you.
Well, thank y'all so much for coming out. I hope y'all enjoyed the tour as much as I did.